There's a point in every man's life when achievement no longer satisfies, when the applause fades and the silence becomes unbearable. And in that silence, something calls, not from the world, but from within. It is not the call to succeed, it is the call to remember. For centuries, men have searched power outside of themselves through conquest, control, validation, yet every external victory only deepens the inner war. Sigmund Freud called it the return of the repressed, the forgotten emotions that refuse to stay buried. Carl Jung called it individuation, the sacred process of becoming whole again. And Jesus spoke it in a single line: the kingdom of God is within you. What they all pointed to was not religion, not ideology, but the science of consciousness itself. The realization that every shadow you run from, every trigger you suppress, every emotion you deny is a gate to your own freedom. My work is not to teach men how to win, it is to guide them to see the truth behind their strength, the wound behind their success, and the soul beneath their performance. Because transformation is not the creation of something new, it is the remembrance of what was always there. This is where the path begins, not in books or in systems, but in the quiet confrontation with the parts of you you swore you would never face. This is the work of self mastery, the work of remembering the man beneath the mask. And as David Hawkins once said, everything you see happening is the consequence of that which you are. And that is the truth every man must face before he can become free. So, after this introduction, I want to welcome you to this first lab video that is introducing my work. And before we start, I want to clarify that there will be much more videos and much more shorter videos. But for the series of Remember, where I kind of document my life, that you see transparently who I am, how I work, and how I live, like authentically, I will create for like for every episode a much more deeper lab video that is working with slides, what I introduced to you today, and helping you to go deeper into the topic we were speaking about in the Remember series episodes. Right now, the first videos online, it's the prologue that is introducing myself on the international market and kind of really in a short notice or conclusion sharing my story. And with this first lab video here, you're right now watching, I want to decode the work I'm doing, that you can collect a better understanding. And while we're doing that, immediately translate everything to yourself in your life, that you can, of course, immediately benefit from that. What are we going to look at together today is the following. First of all, we talk about the power of consciousness. We'll speak about how awareness becomes creation. Then we're going to take a look on decoding the human mind, what it actually means, and we want to see and study how belief systems, perception, and the human psyche is architectured. We talk about the straight line personal development, a term I kind of founded or invented out of inspiration from other people and my work that helps you understanding in a linear point of view how you can develop your personality in order to remember who you truly are and become whole again. And of course, the same is meant for women. I'm addressing primarily men because that is like my positioning online and the niche I'm entering. But if you're a woman, you can really, and I mean that honestly, take a huge advantage of this content. It's made for you as well. So eventually, we're all son of God, yeah? And children of God, and we're all equal. So that's why you can easily translate it to you, of course. And eventually, we're going to mention the mask in the void, the hidden war between the self-image and the essence. And we're going to talk about the fact that we left to disguise, distort our self-image, and try to move the world in order to not face the void and the nothingness. So what you will get out of here is, like I already spoke about in the introduction, you will understand how to decode your mind as a man or a woman and to become whole again, to follow the process of individuation, that you get more complete and reclaiming your authenticity, and therefore reaching peak performance in every area of your life. It doesn't matter if you're in business, in sports, in relationships, you will see how that works. And at the beginning, I suggest you, this is deep shit. So, especially the lab, like the laboratory videos here, are longer and deep, and I put a lot of effort in it to create that. So, take your time. You don't have to watch it once or at like in one take. You can really go deep and study, and I recommend you additionally to that for your auditory system. If you're on the way, listen to the podcast, and you will find the podcast on Spotify. It's the Architecture of Consciousness podcast that is on the topics absolutely highlighted and connected to the videos here. Good. Enough said about the introduction. Let's go straight into it. And we open the first chapter, The Power of Consciousness, How Awareness Becomes Creation. So we want to talk about, what does consciousness actually mean? How does it serve us? How can we train that? What can we do with that? What is it? We want to install the base that we have a foundation to do really like quality and sustainable work. Because the term consciousness is not graspable. It's not easy to understand because it's not linear. Consciousness itself, it's not linear. We're speaking here about the non-linear realm, like the world of non-duality. And this is always something the left brain can't grasp. That's why it's so difficult for us to follow specific things we're talking about, because some frequencies we can't put in words, we can't explain. And our brain really struggles to do that. So here we now really want to talk about, what is consciousness for you? How can you use it in order to achieve more of your goals and becoming whole again as a man or woman? So we do it step by step. We want to open and provide a space here where you can remember who you really are. And I want to mention that beforehand. While you're studying that, it might be that you hear, that you read something that is touching you, that is activating something in you emotionally. You feel seen, you feel heard, you feel the truth. If that's like that, it's amazing. That's exactly what we want to achieve. So in this moment, you are remembered to your essence and to your truth. So you get a better access to your truth inside. Like Jesus said, the kingdom of heaven is inside of us. So that is a way that you can start to see and access exactly this kingdom. Important. Focus on your body and your feelings while you're studying this content. Focus on the context itself. What do I mean by that? While you're studying that, you're going to observe. The more aware you get, the more you train your focus and attention on your internal world, that something is happening that you can't put in words. That's the context. The context is the access to the frequency that keeps developing and rising parallel to the fact that you're proceeding with your process of individuation and reclaiming your authenticity. The higher the frequency, the more intense is the context you're experiencing. It's like you're in an aura and you feel a specific energetical vibe and you can't put it in words. And this aura is already transforming you. Maybe you heard about the fact that love itself heals and the field or irradiation of love heals. So if you once been in love or you experienced love, you experienced what it means to be in the context. That's a good example. So what do I mean by that? Let's assume the content is actually something in the context. We are human beings creating out of the human mind. And the context itself, it's God itself. And here's one really important thing, because you you will listen more and more that I use terms like God, and I mention Jesus and Buddha and Krishna. And I want to clarify, I'm not religious. I'm not a Buddhist. I'm not a Christian. I'm not a Hinduist. I'm spiritual. And for me, the essence, the spiritual essence, is the foundation of all religions. But I really want to clarify that. I respect every religion, and if you're religious, you just feel free to choose what fits the best for you. And I have faith, but I respect your faith too, in whatever you have faith in and who you have faith in. And the concept of God for me is the creator, is the divinity, is the field that is connecting everything. And this is the context. So the context is the creator itself. Some call it the all, the universe. And the content is like a small, tiny part in the context we're forming out of our mind. In psychology, there's a term called constructionism. It means that we shape and construct our own reality in our mind, and it's highly subjective. It means the way we interpret the world we're living in is so different than the way another human being around us is interpreting the world or perceiving the world. So we can say perception equals reality because it's made up in our mind. The context is the underlying truth behind every illusional conception of reality of every human being. It's the underlying truth behind the illusion of the ego that makes us seeing something that we interpret as real that is actually just an illusion. Then we're speaking about different worlds within the context we can create with our mind. It's like every human being lives in his or her own world. It's a mind world. Maybe you heard about that. And it makes sense because the way we grew up, the experiences we're doing, is like shaping our filters. So the way we perceive the reality in the outside is so different based on what we individually experiencing in our lives. And therefore, our concept, our perception of the reality is so different. But to understand my work, it's important to understand the concept that behind this mind worlds, behind this like perceived different realities that we create with our ego in our mind, there's an underlying context. And the underlying context, if we now make the bridge to Jesus, for example, might be the kingdom of God that is not visible, that is invisible and inside of us. And that's important that you see that because it means that living in the content is actually like living in the matrix. And maybe you heard about that before. Maybe you've seen the movie Matrix. There's some famous guys and people who talk about the concept of the matrix and escaping the matrix. Escaping the matrix itself, it's pretty relative because yeah, you can be aware of this concept here, what you're seeing, but it does not mean that you living it and you're fully in the non-dual realm or world. It's super, super rare. It means if we learn to decode our own mind, we learn to decode the content here, the small world of the content, and learn to access the world of the context. And this is called the process of individuation. It's like we're going to make us whole again because we find God inside of us. Because we are like the glorious manifestation of God, because we're the children of God. And again, I do not mean it out of a religious point of view. I mean it out of a spiritual point of view. And again, even though you have no faith at all about that, it's totally fine. You decide what you believe in. I don't judge you for that. I don't project it on you. I just want to invite you that you start working with these ideas you're hearing here and then making your own point of view. See it like a buffet. You go into a restaurant, you have a big buffet, and then you just choose what you like. And what you not like, you just let there. And maybe you try it another time. Okay? Please see it like that. We have to talk about that before, like firsthand before, because otherwise things might get pretty complicated. So, like I just said, we can now see the world of content as illusion and the world of context as truth. So, we can see the world of content as falsehood and the world of context as the ultimate truth. We can see the world of the content as the world of the small self and the world of the context, the higher self. So, now another important thing, we define the small self as the ego and the higher self as God. Means we now implement the idea that we differentiate ego from God. It means like we all have, based on evolution and our primal instincts, the ego inside of us. And we will speak about that, no worries. But at the same time, we have the higher self inside of us. And the higher self is like a wisdom ego state in you that is the manifestation of God. It's like God living in you. Makes sense if we follow what Jesus said, for example. And again, I see it out of a religious, spiritual perspective. And we believe, or we open ourselves up to the idea that our higher wisdom state is already knowing all the time what is good for us, what helps us to live our own truth. And with the work I'm doing, we want to train ourselves more and more to access the higher wisdom state, that we can have more access to resources. And if we have more access to resources, we have more energy. If we have more energy, we have more power. So we can reach our goals much more likely in sports, relationship, business, whatever it is. So now you see, we start mixing the realms of the linear world and the non-dual, the non-linear world, to make it in a way that you can understand it. And for example, if we make now a transition to psychotherapy, in psychotherapy, there are different schools and models who work with that, and that has nothing to do with spirituality or religion or esoterical things. It means that like psychotherapy, for example, it's called the ego state therapy. It's based like in the world of trauma therapy, so it's part of trauma therapy. We assume that there's a higher wisdom state that is kind of guiding the other personality parts we have inside of us and always knows the way, and it's like guiding us through an intuitional calling what is right for us and what's not and what not. We will speak about that. And I'm licensed in trauma therapy. So that is my daily work with clients too. And I don't speak necessarily about sick people or people that have officially psychological disorders. No, no. We all have traumata. And the concept of dividing our psyche into different personality parts and ego states, we will speak about that, is pretty common. And we don't have to be officially sick or mental ill in order to work with that. So it does not mean we have to be sick to take advantage of that. No. We want to decode our mind. And if we want to decode our mind, we want to now implement the idea there's a higher wisdom state, the higher self, that is power, that is guiding us, and that helps us to becoming whole again. And we can access the state. And this state has ultimate resources. When I work with hypnosis or trances, meditations with clients, I guide them to access this higher self and to access this higher wisdom state in order to access these resources. For example, you've seen that here online that I'm working with Diego Krasimov, the pro boxer. And that's the work I'm doing with him. Because if he can access more of his resources, if he can access more of his suppressed energy and getting a higher connection to this wisdom state, this higher self, and therefore having more energy, he has more power in the ring. And if you have more power in the ring, you're more focused, you're stronger, you're faster, you're more flexible, you're a better boxer. So that's how I can explain with this kind of work how we can increase the performance in whatever kind of sport it is. We can take golf, for example. You can do the same with golf. You can do the same with MMA, with tennis, with football, with basketball. It does not matter, really. So please remember the following words. Every experience with the context itself is going to change the perspective on yourself and your life. Period. And my goal with this kind of lab videos and modules here is to really open a space that you can experience the context. Because I'm opening the context for you. So you have the chance to just go through the door. And if you devote yourself to that, and if you are consistent with that, you will see, and I can guarantee you that you will make the experience how the context itself will feel like. And if you experience the frequency of the context itself, going to change yourself automatically. And as a natural consequence, the life around you will change automatically. Once you connect with the context itself, even though it is very little, it changes your life forever. It's what I just explained with the example of quantum physics. Once we experience a higher frequency, we already experienced it. We don't go back to a lower frequency. Or we do, but we don't want to, actually. It's like what the Buddha said once. And now I bring the Buddhism part here into. Once you sensed the sweetness of enlightenment, you never are satisfied with anything less. And the more you experience the context, the more you experience yourself, the more you experience your true nature, your essence, your authenticity. And there's nothing that feels better than being aligned with your own true nature and authenticity, because that is harmony. That is the manifestation of God inside of you. That is love, peace, truth, light. You feel fulfilled, happy, successful. You're whole. That's the ultimate goal. It's like the Buddha said, okay, now you see, good. Once you experience enlightenment, you're never satisfied with anything else. Actually, I forgot that I implemented this picture, but thank you, my subconscious, that he reminds me of that. That's it. And it's exactly what the work with consciousness is about. So if you get more aware, and if you start to see more, if you start to be aware more of what is happening inside of you, it is deeply nourishing. Like getting to know you, seeing yourself. This, maybe you experience this feeling of being seen. If somebody really sees you, like can watch into your soul and is validating, I see you. It's so deeply nourishing. And the work with consciousness is helping us accessing the context more, that we can see ourselves continuously so much more with our true nature. That is consciousness. That's what we're doing with that. It's like a muscle. The more we train it, the more it becomes capable of doing performance. It's like going in the gym. It's like mastering a skill. It's like mastering a specific ability. It needs training, but if we train, it will grow and it will give us the chance to really do something great with that. That's the work of consciousness. So if you want to benefit from that, you have to stick with that. You have to devote yourself to that. For example, if you want to master boxing like Diego doesn't master boxing because he's watching TV all the time. No, he's going in the gym twice a day. He's training. He's working his ass off to do that. If you play an instrument or you speak a new language, you can't do that if you just do nothing. No, you have to train. You have to practice. The same with consciousness. So, yeah, what the fuck is enlightenment? Let's talk about that, because I will use the term much more often in my videos, and we want to be precise about the fact, what does enlightenment actually really mean? So now I would like to open the world of David R. Hawkins to you. And David R. Hawkins is, for me, the most important spiritual teacher and teacher of consciousness I get to know in my life. Unfortunately, never personally, because he died in 2012, but his work is for eternity. And you will see that. I will recommend you books about him to introduce yourself into this world. But of course, I want to mention every person here I really learned a lot from, and that influenced and affected my life in a tremendous positive way, and give them credit. So David R. Hawkins is one of them. And David R. Hawkins developed the map of consciousness. That seems a bit firsthand complicated, but I will recommend you the book of him at the end of this module. So he can explain it so much better than I ever could. That's why I really recommend then to read this book and you will understand everything. Here, I just want to introduce the map of consciousness because we need it for the other stuff we're going to take a look at today. And the map of consciousness really explains that frequency, like energy, can be divided through different levels. And in the human body, it's possible to reach a level, like a level of 1000. And 1000 is the maximum amount of energy the nervous system of the human body can handle. And if somebody reaches the state of 700 to 1000, we call this person enlightened. There's just a few avatars that reach the level of 1000 in the mankind. And you know them. It's Jesus, it's Buddha, and it's Krishna. And there's a critical point, it's 200. It means everything under 200 is non-integrous. Everything over 200 is integrous. So we speak about the truth starting at 200, and we speak about falsehood for everything below 200. The whole map of consciousness is logarithmic. It means, you will see that then in the video, that every level of consciousness that is increasing itself just about a few points, like for example 5 points, is not just 5 points more. No, it's multiplying itself all the time again because it's logarithmic. So even though an increasing progress of 5 or 10 points is creating tremendous results and changes in the behavior, in the perception of reality, we can identify the different emotions to different levels of consciousness too. And especially, like you see it here, the associated emotional state and the view of life. The map of consciousness is so brilliant because it helps us to decode the non-graspable world of non-duality. Because the world of non-duality, like the world that is leaving the three-dimensional linear realm, starts at 499. And there's a basic principle in the universe. It's called, we can restore, or every thought, every feeling, every information, every deed, everything is restored all the time. And we can access that. And David Hawkins explains how. I don't want to go too deep here because he does it so much better. But for you to know everything that you're thinking, feeling, doing is influencing the frequency you're irradiating. And I'm pretty sure you heard about that, like the law of attraction, and the manifestation stuff, and like that. Like attracts like. So if you're, for example, calibrating on the level of 200 courage, you might attract people who are calibrating on the same way. That's how the law of attraction works. It's like you have antennas on your head, like a radio, and you irradiating a specific frequency that is inviting the same frequency or similar frequency. Everything can be calibrated. Every thought, every feeling, every idea, every person in every moment. I will introduce you to that much more, but you will find out more about that if you study your work, and I highly recommend you to do that. Okay, that is important. We can say that the more and the higher we're calibrating of the map of consciousness, the more whole we get, the more we're aligned with the truth, the more authentic we are, and the more we enjoy our lives. David Hawkins found out that 85% of the world's population is calibrating below 200. Just 15% is over 200. And just 4% is calibrating at 500. And just 0.4%, is calibrating at 550 or 540. It's the level of unconditional love, the level of joy. And we need people who are calibrating high to balance the non-integrity of most of the mankind. It's like a balance thing. But he will explain that. And I just want to give you this tool. We will work with that because it helps us really to make things that are so complicated so easy and so easy to understand in a linear point of view. Transcending the levels of consciousness changes your values and interests. It means like when you change your consciousness level, everything is changing around you. And you remember when we introduced today this video with the question, what is actually consciousness? And consciousness is a frequency. The frequency that is calibrated in the map of consciousness. And we can change the frequency. And if we change our frequency, we change our level of consciousness. If we change our level of consciousness, everything else is changing. Our associated emotional state, the view of life, and everything and everybody we are attracting. Because what we hold in mind tends to manifest. The level of consciousness is defining what we hold in mind. So if we want to manifest something, if we want to attract something different, we have to change our level of consciousness. So we have to change the world within us. Exactly what Jesus said. Enter the access or enter the kingdom of God and heaven first. And then the other things will follow. Here I want to give you an example of the consequence of changing the levels of consciousness out of my life. On the left, you see me sitting in Dubai in my penthouse, in my office, with 24 years old. I was building a successful company, like you probably seen in my introduction prologue video, with 23 in Germany. And I made several millions pretty fast and got everything I wanted. And I always wanted to be successful, like having a big career, living the high life. And I did that in Dubai, in a 500 square meter penthouse triplex, with a lot of expensive furniture and stuff, like you see. For me, the most important thing at the time was to really design the whole interior of this penthouse in a way I want to have that. Because before, everything was just like with stone floor and white walls. So everything you see on the left in the office is designed by me. And that was so important for me because I thought, if I'm sitting in this office with Napoleon in my walls, I'm going to be a great guy. I'm worthy. I can show and prove the world. I've made it. That was important for me. Totally driven by the ego. But we will speak about it. And on the right, you see me sitting my place where I'm living right now in Fornalutsch in Mallorca. I'm in the mountains, like a hermit. And it's so different, isn't it? And it is. I feel so different. I feel like a different human being and a different person because I changed my level of consciousness. Because I climbed up the level, like the ladder. Like the ladder of consciousness. Sometimes I still have difficulties, of course, with the language because English is not my main language. Of course, like you already heard, I'm German originally, but I really try to not sound German, so forgive me these small mistakes here. So you see, everything is changing if we are changing. And often we stress ourselves so much because we want to change the world and change something outside, not realizing that the answer is in us, in the field of the context and the level of consciousness. So I just wanted to give you this example to show you if you do the internal work, your life will change automatically. You don't have to do anything about it. And my life changed. My life changed so much. And I didn't control it. I just changed internally. And then it's like riding a wave of the universe and of life. Now I want to bring an important quote of David Hawkins. Truth is not something you believe, but something you experience. It is only through one's own inner verification that reality becomes self-evident. Each person must verify truth for himself. Second-hand knowledge remains belief, not certainty. And I want to support you and my clients that we can access the truth itself more and more and more. So we do it definitely step by step. And in order to not overwhelm you or not like overfloat you with tons of information you can't digest, I made a decision to divide the whole module, like the whole lab video here, into the different chapters. So I will do in total 4 individual videos, and every single video is like an own chapter for this first big module. Today we finished chapter 1, the power of consciousness, how awareness becomes creation. And the next week, that is the plan, I'm going to launch like one of these lab videos every week. We continue with chapter 2, the week afterward, chapter 3, the week afterward, chapter 4. And every chapter is building up on each other. So I highly recommend to you, if you feel like this serves you, it gives you value, stick to that and study the next chapters too. But if I would like do every chapter in one video, this video would be way over 2 hours, and it's too long. But I'm so open for your feedback, guys. So please comment and engage with me and share with me what serves you the best, because eventually that is why I'm doing that. For me, my work here is an act of service, act of sharing love, truth, and light, and I want to adapt and make it as easy as possible for you to digest and to take like value out of that. It's really important for me, so I'm open to do the things differently. Please let me know. But if I, for example, speak about some things in chapter 1 today and say we come there later again to the topic, or that we go there deeper inside, or I have recommendations for you with the books and stuff, it might be that this information will come in the next chapters of the first like big video or module. And then I'm going to create a playlist on YouTube. It's called Laboratory. And here every video is like stored and saved chronologically. So it might be that you find this video here or one of the other videos organically through YouTube or recommendation weeks, months, years later. And I just want to build a structure beforehand that even though that might be the case, you know exactly where to start, what comes after what, that you can study that in your pace, in your style, but of course chronologically. Good. So if you have questions, please reach out to me and let me know. And I'm open to do breakthrough sessions. So if you guys find me here on YouTube or social media or recommendation or TV, whatever it is, and you want to get to know me personally, feel free to apply for a breakthrough session over the link in my website. And the link is listed and integrated always in the description. It's pretty easy, tomeiberger.com. There you find all the information, and you can have a 90 call with me that we can get to know each other to find out if I can support and help you additionally with some topics. Good, that's it for today. I hope you like it. I hope you get something out of it. It's my life, it's my passion. It's just what I'm doing most of the time, and I'm really grateful and feel honored that I'm allowed now to share that with the world. And honestly, for me, I'm just following the calling I got from God, like the definition of God for myself. And again, I'm not religious, I'm spiritual, but I truly believe that I got some gifts there, and I want to be of service for mankind. And that is my tool to do that. Okay, now we're done. Thank you. Please subscribe and hit the like button for this video. It's going to support me and my work. And if you have questions, please reach out to me anytime. I'm looking forward to proceed. Bye-bye.